good afternoon on what is a bright and breezy day. It is Wednesday the 6th of October. I'm back in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a pile of parcels to get through. I've actually got quite a lot to unbox. I have been lent some interesting box sets to open up and reveal their contents of. So there'll be some of those in the near future, but I'm going to continue with this package. I've already been in once, so if I pull that out you'll see what I mean, because I've already done an unboxing and a review of The Haunting of Epsilon 14, which is a pamphlet adventure for the role-playing game Mothership. Now, Mothership is published by Tuesday Night Games. It's a role-playing game, basically a centaur role-playing, very stripped down blue-collar science fiction role-playing game, and there's been a lot of interest in that genre of late, with obviously finally getting an alien role-playing game that is fairly broad in its focus, rather than being focusing entirely on the military aspect of the setting, although that's in there, and also with things like Those Dark Places from Osprey Games, Hostile from Zozo Games, and this Mothership from Tuesday Night Games. The next one in this selection I'm pulling out is the Terminus Delays at Arene's Folly. Okay, now the format for this is a tri-fold pamphlet. So it's on nice solid card. So you open it up and that's what you got. So everything is on there that you need to play. So these are quite stripped down in terms of their presentation and format and content because of the limited amount of space. So what's this one about? So Simon Wainwright, the space traffic controller of the remote service station Arene's Folly, sips coffee from a mug illuminated by warning lights. He knows one thing the players do not. Something dangerous and powerful lurks in their hold, the creation device, and everyone at Arene's Folly will pull every trick in the book to get it. So essentially, in this, the players are the crew of the spaceship. It arrives, there's something in their cargo hold, and everyone on board this station really wants it. Let's see, essentially you've got a station escalation timeline, so a series of events which lead you through the plot. The whole idea is essentially, this is basically what you've got is a list of instructions, just GM advice here on the front. So, okay, you sit down as a GM, you start reading that, you've got some idea what's going on. Now in Haunting Epsilon 14, you had essentially both the descriptions and the map of the floor plans of Epsilon 14, the mining facility, mapped out on the inside. So let's see what's on the inside of this. And we have essentially, instead of a map, we have section 1, the creation device, section 2, 3, section, basically it's built into sections, and then essentially we have section 1, which describes the creation device, an experimental planetary colonization device, a volatile warhead of chemicals, biological agents and mutagens, highly valuable to corporations and governments seeking to rapidly terraform new planets. Okay, so the thing is, so essentially, what you've got there is a device that's taken straight out of Star Trek through the Wrath of Khan, and then plays into the events of Star Trek through the Search for Spock, essentially the Genesis device. And of course, because obviously in Star Trek it's not quite you don't have the corporation at play as the power blocks, that you do have in a setting like the Alien setting with Weyland-Yutani. So essentially you have power blocks which are basically empires. Here it's the corporations, of course. So here we also got Arene's Folly Station, of course, and basically a description of the location, and then we have the escalation timeline and a hack timeline, systems hack timeline, and so on, all the way up to a gaslighting timeline. So essentially, the gaslighting timeline table really is for essentially the enemies, the NPCs aboard the station, confusing the player characters. So it's used as a story device. So ideally, it shouldn't necessarily trigger content warning because it's part of the story. It's not intended for malicious means. And then we have everything essentially, basically, events on the back, system retakes, STC personality profile, small talk table. We basically, that's there for little details to encourage interaction between the player characters and the NPCs. And then clues, presumably station comms slip-ups are there. So you've got the basically small talk table, comlink time slip-ups table. We've got a marine kill type table, because essentially every corporation has its own special forces and troops, which are new forces, protects its world and takes others and so on and fights corporate wars with. And you've got the marine kill time basically coming in and presumably cleaning up. And there's an order of battle, and then essentially with the player characters caught in the middle, and we go to the escape complication table. So basically, essentially the player characters are trying to escape from the situation which they find themselves in. So yeah, that's more or less it. I think, essentially that's a complete scenario. That looks to be a bit more complex than perhaps the Haunting of Epsilon 14, which is basically sort of straightforward sort of haunted house in space horror scenario with the players being hunted through the facility and discovering clues as to how they can try and stop it or not. This is more akin, I think, to sort of like the later corporate shenanigans and machinations in the later Aliens films and that sort of thing. So this will probably require a little more preparation than Epsilon 14, but again, the format helps. It's fairly stripped down, although the text is quite dense there, but it gives you everything else that you need to play, and it's a nice format. It's a really kind of clever little format, everything necessary there, plot, the whole nine works, and essentially all bound by an economy of space and format. So yeah, it's essentially, and again, it's a one shot. So if your players get free, that's fine. Well done to them. If they don't, that's part of the scenario. They are their survival is not written into the events of the scenario, and the players really kind of should be aware of that. It says one shot, and if you're playing in a blue collar science fiction setting, you kind of should expect encounters with the unknown, things out to kill you, which can be again the unknown, or it could be a corporation or the Marines, basically the Marines coming in to do the cleanup, because ultimately it's the corporations who are the bad guys. Anyway, thank you once again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, then please do click the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you posting those, and I do respond and I do read those, so thank you. And lastly, of course, if you want to be alerted to more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me with essentially a package and some games or scenarios or books, which I will reveal and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all accompanied of course by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please to hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thank you again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.